Welcome to Daily Steps from One Extraordinary Marriage, where we outline simple steps that you can take to have the ultimate marriage adventure. I'm Tony DeLorenzo, your co-host, along with my beautiful wife, Elisa. In today's show, we answer the question, how can the intimacy lifestyle make sex easier for the low desire spouse?
One of the challenges that many couples face is that one spouse wants sex more than the other. Maybe you've heard us talk about high desire, low desire spouse. And this could be something as simple, I guess, as, one spouse wants to have sex 2 times a week and one spouse wants to have sex 1 time a week. Mm-hmm. Or it can be something, a much bigger gap where somebody wants to have sex every single day and somebody says, I'm good once or twice a week. Mm-hmm. Before we even jump into this show, I just want to say that this isn't like a guy thing or a gal thing. There are women who are high desire and men who are low desire. There are men who are high desire and women who are low desire. Every marriage has its own unique makeup. When you're the low desire spouse, and I just full disclosure here, as you're listening to Tony and Elisa, I am the low desire spouse. Mm-hmm. I definitely have a much lower drive for sexual intimacy. Not so much physical intimacy, because I love the connection that Tony and I have, but my sexual drive is just not nearly as high as Tony's.
It never has been.
I don't think so. Mm-mm. I don't think so. And, for those of you that are the low desire spouse and your spouse wants to have sex with you, can I just tell you that's a good thing? It is always a good thing when your spouse wants to have sex with you. And let me tell you why, because I talk to enough couples in coaching where they aren't having sex and nobody's desiring to have sex with anybody, that I love to know that there is desire happening in marriages. Mm-hmm. So pat yourself on the back that you have a spouse that wants to have sex with you. But here you are, you're the low desire spouse and you're like, my spouse has brought up this intimacy lifestyle and we've talked about creating the intimacy lifestyle. And if you haven't, and you're kind of like, what is Elisa even talking about? Make sure that you check out Daily Steps episodes 11 and 12, where we dig into this a little bit more and talk about how the two of you can use the intimacy lifestyle to give yourselves the framework.
Yep, exactly. You at least understand what this looks like for us and for others.
Actually, let's just talk real quick about what it does look like for us, because I think that actually lends itself to this conversation.
Sure. And so the intimacy lifestyle, just as a heads up, Elisa and I have been doing this for 8 years now. Mm-hmm. So it came after we did the 60 Days of Sex Challenge. We did our first 7 Days of Sex Challenge, then we began the intimacy lifestyle. And the reason we did this is because we had so much impact. The challenges impacted us and our marriages so much. And yet after we were done, we would almost go back to our lull. We would just sort of wing our sexual intimacy. I shouldn't say we were just winging our sexual intimacy, and it was sort of happening sporadically again, and which got both of us a bit frustrated, me a little more so than her at times, and yet Elisa would be frustrated as well. So the intimacy lifestyle at its base for us is we have decided that we are going to have sex 2 times a week. That is for us. Now, you may be completely different. You need to talk to your spouse about it. The way it works for us, and we've talked about this when we talked about spicing up your marriage, about initiating, we wanted for both of us to be able to initiate. Not just a high desire spouse always initiating. The high desire spouse also wants to be pursued and desired. I cannot say that enough for you low desire spouses. Your spouse who is a high desire wants you to desire them and to pursue them. I know it may be tough. I know it may be hard. And yet, we desire that. And so the way we set this up is Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. I have one of those days to initiate sex with Elisa. Her days are Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. That is her being the low desire spouse to initiate. Mm-hmm. And then Saturday is our off day or our bonus day.
So how does this make life easier for me as the low desire spouse, right? Or for you as the low desire spouse? One of the things that having the structure of the intimacy lifestyle does is that it lets you know what the expectations are.
Exactly.
It's amazing how much frustration can come out of a marriage when the expectations have been discussed and a plan of action has been agreed upon. Right? I know that not every touch that Tony gives me during the week is a touch that says, I want you and I want to have sex with you right now. And the reason I give you that scenario is because there was a season in our marriage where, because we didn't have the structure of the intimacy lifestyle, every time he touched me, I was thinking, oh geez, is this one of like, does he want sex right now again? Right? Like those would be the thoughts that would go through my head. Now that we're on the plan, on this lifestyle choice that we've made for the last 8-9 years, now we're in this place where I know if he touches me on a day that's like my day to initiate, I know he's just touching me because you know what? My husband loves to touch me. Mm-hmm. It's a good thing. Like if he wants to come up and squeeze my butt or put his arms around me, it doesn't mean anything more than, babe, I think you're hot and I love you. Right. So I have that assurance that I know what the expectations are, that I know that the touches that he's giving me are just connection touches. Now,
which is crazy because it brought back a flashback as you were speaking and sharing that. I remember there was a time where honestly, every time I would touch Elisa, she would just be like, oh gosh, she was just exasperated. There we go. That I would touch her and always thinking that was going to lead to sex. And now that's not the case at all. Like we hug, like she said, I grab her butt, I'm touching her arms, I'm hugging her. And not once is she like, oh my gosh, is it all right? Let's just have sex. Mm-hmm. Because it's not a sexual connection at that point in time. It's for us to be physically touching, but not sexually intimate.
The other thing that creating the intimacy lifestyle has done is that it's allowed Tony and I to have conversations about how I initiate. It actually pushed me out of my comfort zone because all of those early years before the intimacy lifestyle, before the 60 days of sex challenge, before the first 7 days of sex challenge, Tony can probably count on maybe 3 fingers the numbers of time that I initiated. That was over a decade, you guys. I didn't. I was in this place where I'm like, you know what, just pursue me. It's good. Partly because I thought that was the way it was supposed to be done. Mm-hmm. And partly because I didn't know how to initiate. So when we decided that the intimacy lifestyle was something that we were going to adopt, we were going to create this to be a system to really focus on and create strong sexual intimacy in our marriage, it naturally lent itself to, well, what does this look like if we're both initiating? Mm-hmm. And I had to share with my husband how I initiate. And the reason that I had to share with him was because since it wasn't my nature to just be like, hey, babe, want to have sex? Or I'm going to wear lingerie to bed or whatever it is, he didn't know. And let me tell you, if you're the low desire spouse and your spouse doesn't know how you initiate sex on your days to initiate sex, then there's all kinds of confusion in your bedroom. So the intimacy lifestyle makes expectations clear. It allows the two of you to take turns initiating, and it creates this framework that the two of you can grow your sexual intimacy to have the extraordinary marriage that you desire.
Do you have a question that you would like for us to answer? Send your question to dailysteps@oneextraordinarymarriage.com and put in the subject line, Daily Steps Question. For more information on this topic, check out oneextraordinarymarriage.com/140.